bit.
Oh, man.
Now we're live. We went from dead to live. There we go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hey, Mando, everyone's favorite podcast about the Mandalorian on Disney Plus, featuring Ryan Ray and
Hey,
myself, Kyle Souza.
Cal, I gotta mention this real quick before we get any further. We got a shout out from. Let's see here. So
Was
like
it Mama?
it was at Star Wars Now This mentioned.
Okay.
I got tagged in a new Star Wars podcast. I don't know if you were tagged or not, but I know I was tagged.
I was not. They only care about you.
I'm the co-host here. I'm like the guest appearance, so they need to know you were
You're
here.
what people come for.
This not
People never watched Larry King for Larry King.
Well,
if there's anyone I could be compared to, it's definitely not Larry King.
yeah, both wear glasses.
We both do wear glasses.
You know, I wear glasses too, but I don't wear them on the show because I'm afraid. So here you go, and
Those
they're
are
tinted.
cool.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that. So they're tinted, and everyone's like, "Hey, why are you wearing your sunglasses?" And it's not. I got polarized glasses that do the auto tint, but apparently when you get the polarization, they stay this color. So it's not that I'm trying to be like cool because I'm not. It's just this is just how I got, and so we can set up a
You
Patreon.
don't have to try.
So
Some
yeah,
might say that there is no try,
yes,
but you just are.
I just say I'm cool. There we go. I'm excited, Kyle. I'm excited for the season finale of The Mandalorian.
You will. Oh yes, it was the Mandalorian Chapter 16, The Letdown. I think was the subtitle on that. What? Oh wait, hold on. What was the subchapter?
No. Me and you talked on Friday. And you tell me what you said would be a disappointment. So the fans know what you claimed would be a disappointment. This is a heavy spoiler show, just FYI.
Yeah,
but
all spoilers.
This is what I'd watched it. You hadn't, and you said this will be the biggest letdown if they do this, and then we'll grade it on what they did compared to what you said.
Yeah, they did not do what I said would be the biggest letdown. There are other letdowns other than the biggest, but the biggest letdown would be if they brought Ahsoka back for no reason, and let's see, they somehow defeated Moff Gideon, and then using the Wookiee prisoner gag.
Prisoner, right? Do that.
And then they got onto the ship, hand-to-hand combat. Beat Moff Gideon. He runs away, still alive, and it just ends with Mando holding Grogu. That would be like worst case scenario.
You struck out. You went 0 for 4. They call it the golden sombrero in baseball. 0 for 4 is the golden sombrero. You, sir, have earned the golden sombrero on Mando worst prediction. Not worst predictions, but like worst case scenarios.
Yeah, worst case. I didn't say that's what was going to happen. That's exactly what I didn't want to happen.
You got the opposite. Moff Gideon was arrested. Grogu went away with someone.
Which I really liked Moff Gideon in this episode. I thought Giancarlo Esposito did a great job. And just Moff Gideon as a character, I thought was a good character in this episode. I was worried with exactly what was going to happen with him. Okay. Let's try to move chronologically through the episode.
I know. I just had to get that out for the listeners to understand that the context that you're about to pound. We haven't talked. All you did is send me your disappointment. So the context that when you told me this and I had watched it, I was curious what you would say because I knew all of those things weren't true. I did not reveal that to you because I'm not that kind of guy. I only spoiler I gave you, and for those, I know some people don't know this, there is a mid-credit spoiler too. So if you haven't seen that, that will shape some of the things that I'm going to say about this episode, just for perspective.
Yeah, we'll get to that one too.
I've seen online that a lot of people didn't know there's a mid-credit spoiler. So I'm just telling people
who doesn't watch the credits. They always have the great art. Also, I always watch until at least the music ends.
I only caught it because I was trying to. I pressed a button on the fast forward on the Roku, and it just skipped ahead. And I saw people moving around. I was like, "Oh, okay." So, anyways, I did see people online like, "Hey, well, what about the mid-credit spoiler with Darth Maul coming back?" And they're like, "What, Darth Maul?" And the whole big thing. So,
so we start out with Boba Fett firing on an Imperial shuttle. The Imperial shuttle has two pilots who are not in proper uniform wearing their helmet. though they have their skull caps on like they're supposed to be wearing them, and they're ferrying Dr. Pershing somewhere, right? Why they're not in hyperspace, I don't know. Why Boba Fett is using his regular cannon, I don't know, because he's not trying to kill them. He wants to disable them. He ends up hitting them with an ion bolt, which does disable the ships, or disable the ship, which he then tells them to lower their shields. So what good are those shields if the ion bolt gets through it? And then they board, and they being Mando and Cara Dune board the ship, and we get a very interesting exchange, right? An exchange that I don't quite believe. Now, before we get to that exchange, Ryan, any thoughts so far?
Well, I mean, I don't know the intricacies of the weapon systems like you do. So for me, that's just all like we're gonna board. Okay, so like to me, now if they had like the Death Star cannon firing out, and they're like, "Hey, we fired the Death Star cannon," I would, but like I don't know all Mando's weapons and stuff. So, Bubba, so I'll just take your word that they had a plot hole there. But
Okay.
the hyperspace thing, I mean, they could have been near the planet. So that's a simple.
They could have been near a planet. They could have. We just didn't see it because they definitely weren't near an Imperial ship. That's for sure.
No, they weren't. They weren't near a ship.
Yeah. Or maybe somehow Boba dropped them out of hyperspace. I don't know. There's issues with that idea also. But anywho, so we got a really interesting exchange in between the one pilot that didn't get shot by the other pilot and Cara Dune about Alderaan. Right? He claims that he was on the Death Star when it blew up Alderaan, and that was a small price to pay to rid the galaxy of terrorism. She made a comment about which Death Star were you on. He had a comment about how many millions of people died during those attacks, which is something that I've always thought was interesting ever since reading one of the old EU books, The Journal of Han Solo, which is actually an interview between a Ba'omar monk and Han Solo while he's imprisoned at Jabba's palace after getting thawed from carbonite before being fed to the Sarlacc, or attempted to be so, where, again, Boba Fett also makes an appearance. But he talks in that book about the stormtroopers just kind of being like regular people, and that caught him off guard. And so since that time, I've always been like, yeah, these were soldiers in the government's legitimate army. Like, as far as most of the universe was concerned, the Empire may have been oppressive or mean to the people that were trying to take it down, but for by and large, it wasn't any worse than any other government around. And so lots of people died. Now, also in that same book, it also talks about how empty the first Death Star was. So it sounds like that there were lots of people on the Death Star. It wasn't quite as empty as it was in at least one EU story.
Well, I think they're pulling from Lost Stars there. And that comes up in Lost Stars, how many people died on the Death Star, either the first one or second. I can't remember, but that was a point of discussion in that book.
Yeah. Now, the real question is, did they write that book having watched Clerks or not? Because there's also a conversation in Clerks, if anybody is familiar with Kevin Smith's movie Clerks. And Kevin Smith is a big Star Wars fan, hence his getting a cameo in The Force Awakens, right? But one of his characters in that movie talks about the independent contractors that must have been killed on the second Death Star because it was still being built.
Right.
And so that's also an interesting idea that non-military personnel were also killed. But by and large, I've always accepted the fact that lots of people died.
Yes.
In the death of the Death Star. Most people are fine with it because, well, they're the bad guys. Even though if not every single person on there is bad, they are generally the bad guys.
Well, it'd be like, okay, so to make it fair, when you watch, if you're thinking about World War II history and a big a U-boat gets sank, or a naval boat from the Germans gets sank, you don't start thinking about the intricacies of every the cook, you generally assume that they're bad now. And so you start thinking about, or a Japanese aircraft carrier getting sunk at Midway or something like that. You don't go, well, we're all you just generally, so that's probably the projection.
Right. When you do get into the intricacies, conscription being an issue, how much of this is forced service. The first Death Star was built with slave labor. Was the second Death Star built with slave labor? Did they just kill all these slaves instead of freeing them when they blew up the second Death Star? Things like that come into
We
play.
talked about this last week with the pirates attacking the juggernauts, and so you start looking at Star Wars. You could actually, it's hard to think about the Third Reich or the Japanese naval carriers of World War II because they were America's enemies, and so it's kind of hard to personalize that because we understand the real world threat that they were. Whereas in Star Wars, you can go outside of this galaxy, if you will, and kind of think about the morality of what you're seeing, and then you can kind of bring it back into here, and it's a little bit easier to go, okay, well, now that I've looked at it out there, I can deal with it here a little bit differently. Whereas here, you probably would want to cut it a lot more black and white.
Uh-huh. So here's my biggest issue with their whole exchange. He said that he was on the first Death Star and watched Alderaan get blown up.
Yeah.
Were there a lot of people leaving the Death Star? I mean, he's a grunt now. I would assume he would have been a grunt then.
Well, he's a pilot, right?
Yep.
Moving cargo.
Maybe.
I mean, so think about.
I'm just saying, I would not initially, if I was Cara Dune, I know she's got the emotional attachment. Let's say I was Mando, who wasn't so emotionally attached. That'd be the thought going through my head. Would be like, wait, then how are you not dead if you were on that ship?
No. I think you're. This is where I think you don't think about it in real world terms. Like to be at.
Well, I know that they didn't immediately blow it up after it blew up Yavin, but I'm just saying that's the first thought that goes through my head. I'm not saying it's the last thought. I'm not saying that that he wasn't there or anything, but just stuff like that makes me think.
No, I mean, okay, right, but then you think, okay, if you read an account of a Japanese soldier who was stationed at Hiroshima, you wouldn't go, well, how did you survive the nuclear bomb? You'd say, well, obviously he was transported away for some period of time when the nuclear bomb went off.
I would actually ask, how did he survive the nuclear bomb?
No, where you're stationed at doesn't mean that you're there 24/7, 365.
I understand. I do. I don't do sports, and I was never in the military, but I do understand a couple of those concepts.
I know you do, but again, this is where, to me, if I don't have a problem with that. He didn't say he was on the Death Star till the end. He just said he's on the Death Star.
Yeah.
And how long was it from the time that Luke was picked up by Obi-Wan until they blew up the Death Star?
Ooh.
4 weeks.
Exactly, but not too long.
It was weeks. It's not like hours.
Right. It is weeks.
Yeah. And so, so him taking, if he's a pilot, he's on the Death Star, and they say, hey, go run this guy over to wherever, and then he flies off, and next thing you know, it's blown up. So insignificant to me, but hey, I mean, that's no moon. So
no, I just thought that was interesting, but it does, she kind of, she gets to be a sharpshooter, right? She shoots the guy's head who's in between the gun and the person that she's there to capture. Had she killed the doctor, there'd be a big problem. The episode would have been over, I guess. I don't know.
You like the Western feel. That's a Western deal.
It is. No, so I'd say she got to show off her skills, which come in handy later in the episode, because she's there with Fennec, and Fennec has been built up as this amazing sharpshooter. And yes, Dune was a shock trooper, but she wasn't necessarily the crack shot.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I've not watched much of Gina Carano's acting career. I know she's got a movie Haywire. I don't think I've ever seen that. Maybe clips.
Yeah, no, this is the only thing I've seen her in.
I want to say I've seen her in something else. I can't remember what it is. Oh, is she in? Maybe she's in one of the Expendables or something. She's in another movie. I can't that I've seen. It's not her. I know she's got one feature film that she's the lead in.
I saw 2 of those Expendables movies.
Maybe let me see if I can look it up here. Anyways, I have never been impressed with her acting. She's in Deadpool, and in Deadpool, it's the same thing. She plays that same.
Deadpool. Yeah.
She plays that same kind of I don't know if smug's the right word. I don't know if that's her only acting. I don't know if that's like her acting. So she's been in some bunch of stuff that I haven't seen. So maybe she plays a different role, but I just don't find her that like of all of the female actresses on the show, like she is the least inspiring of them all. And maybe this is her role. I don't know. Like I just did you,
Yeah.
you find her acting to be that great?
No, not particularly. Not
I think
particularly.
Phoenix. I don't know. I don't know Phoenix. So I know Gino's name because she used to be an MMA fighter. That's how I know who she is. Um, but Finnick or trying to think of the other person I'm thinking of. But I think they're all fine. But her, I don't know.
Yeah.
I forgot the big deal about her acting. Like people are like, oh, she's great. I'm like, yeah, she plays smug and she doesn't even play smug well. Like it's hard to be smug. You do smug well. Not everyone does.
Oh, I didn't even think that I was smug.
No, you're not. You're not.
Okay. Whew.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I was just curious. Like I don't find her acting. Like if she doesn't come back, I won't miss her character.
Yeah, well, I guess I pay more attention to the character than to the actor a lot of times. And so I don't think about it always. And I just think of her as just being a jerk, a bit of a character, and didn't think so much about the actor portraying the character and whether or not they were doing what they were trying to do or not.
Well, I guess when you have on like episode 1 of the season, you have Timothy Oliphant on. Like you have him on and you have her on, it's like, oh, good gosh! Like I'm not a big analyze the acting every show, but I don't know. I always find her lines are not. Maybe it's just how they want her to be. It's just
Yeah, it might be how they want her to be. Might be poor writing. They may have somebody writing for that character that isn't necessarily cut out for writing for that type of character.
I'm sorry. I just didn't know if it was me. Like I always find her talking scenes. I'm just like, oh, get to it, please. So, anyways,
that's all good. I was feeling like that with Bo-Katan this episode. I wasn't that big of a fan of her in this episode, but we'll continue on. All right, we're not necessarily giving everybody a play-by-play, but we did get to see them then go find Bo-Katan somehow. Mando tracked her down very easily once they captured the doctor.
maybe not.
Well, I mean, okay, so this is one of the issues that I have, and there's a possible explanation for it, but I'm not sure how plausible that explanation is. They go to Morak, right? In the last episode, they get the coordinates for a spaceship that can travel to anywhere in the galaxy.
Yeah.
And get the coordinates of where it is at that moment. They then have time to capture a crew member of that starship who was not on the starship at the time, but would supposedly be missed if he were gone for an inordinate amount of time. They were then able to go find Bo-Katan, convince her to join their party, travel to where the coordinates were, and the ship was still there. Now, the only explanation I can think of is he's trying to conserve energy, so he's not going anywhere he doesn't have to go. But I'm not sure how plausible that is.
Yeah, I wondered about so the little stick that they put into the console. Did they take that with them?
Yeah, they took the joystick with them.
Okay, so did the stick give them the coordinates at that time, or does it keep the coordinates whatever they want them?
It will download the data that is presently available and store
let me rephrase. Were they just like you say downloading the Excel data, or was it giving like the transponder code so they could go ping it when they wanted
to? I believe the former.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't know, but I did think, okay, I don't know why you're having time to do all this. So I do agree. Like it seemed weird. Like, okay, you have his coordinates, he's got a ship. Even if it was a boat, he's going somewhere.
Right. Like it's not guaranteed to be in the same place for too long. But before they get there, they do find Bo-Katan at some spaceport on some industrial planet. And we get to see the Mandalorian starfighter, right? And that looks really cool, live and in person. Very large starship.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a really cool shot to see the Mandalorian starfighter, the Slave One, and the Imperial Shuttle. Just the three of those next to each other. I thought was a cool shot.
Bo-Katan, or are we moving past that, or still on Bo-Katan?
No. Let's stay on there because actually her sidekick, using a phrase from the episode, was a little annoying to me in this one. Her and Boba Fett together were both a little annoying to me in this episode.
Yeah, they kind of were, but like I didn't get the hey, we're gonna go get Moff Gideon, and they're like, whatever. They just kind of dismissed him too easy. Like that's the sloppy writing. It's like that's like you're telling that you're gonna go get the person who has everything you need and you want in life, and you're like, whatever. You know, like
yeah,
and then they turn around like, okay, like those are the sloppy writings that I don't like. It's like I can deal with the I can kind of brush aside the time thing, maybe the data stick. I can kind of just play that off my head as okay, maybe we just didn't understand what was going on. They didn't convey it very well. The people talking, whatever. The guy on the ship, the Death Star, he's just I can play that off. The reaction of hey, we're about to go take down Moff Gideon, like nah, we're gonna sit here and watch.
You'll never find him.
Yeah.
Like, why would they come to you if they didn't have a plan?
Yeah. Even if you said you'll never find him, your whole deal is you'll want to find him.
Yeah. At least take the free help.
It's like Kyle saying, I want to buy a new house. And like his whole life's to buy a new house. I come to him and I was like, Kyle, I'm going to help you find a new house. Like, no, man.
You'll never find a house.
Like, no. Like, that's the whole purpose of this conversation. Like, that's the sloppy, silly, stupid writing. And it's not just Mandalorian, but it's like, they should have, the reaction should have been like, what do we do next? Like you could have had a 2-second scene there. Mandalorian walks up. Hey, we're going to take them off Gideon. They get their stuff. Like, let's go. Like, cut scene. Like that. That's all you needed. We've been, or her saying, we've been waiting for you to say that. Or some stupid throwaway line. This is her life's mission. And now the guy that she begged to help her is back saying, I'm here to help you. She's like, no. Can we play a Wookiee in some game on a tabletop somewhere? Like,
if she didn't know where Moff Gideon was when she asked him to help the first time.
Exactly. I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, what did you mean 4 episodes ago? Like, what did that mean? So, yes, like that's the stuff that irks me. Like, that's not how the characters would act.
Oh, we're on the same page there.
So
Boba Fett and I'm blanking on the girl's name.
Fennec?
No.
Oh, Bo-Katan's helper?
Yeah.
Whatever. Or number 2?
I didn't get to make as many notes for this episode as I wanted to.
She is Casca Reeves?
Yes, Casca Reeves.
Yeah.
Good job. Thank you. So Boba Fett and Casca Reeves go at it. Bo-Katan is really rude to Boba Fett. And I'm like, what kind of history do they have? He hasn't even, like, the first thing he says, she's like, you're not a real Mandalorian.
I love that. You didn't like that?
No, I didn't. I'm like, what do you have against Boba Fett? Have you
told
guys met before?
She told you.
Yeah, that he sounded like a clone.
No, that he is a clone.
That he is a clone. But he wasn't a clone like all the other clones.
No, Kyle. I wish we were in the same room. Strike. Okay.
I'm glad we're not in the same room.
Yeah, we just fight. Okay. So 3 weeks ago, the internet lost its mind whether or not Boba Fett was a founding and now. So we had this whole big stupid debate over whether he was really a Mandalorian or not. And now you have a Mandalorian saying, "No, you're not a Mandalorian. You're a stupid clone." Like this is humanity. This is how people are. And
but being a Mandalorian isn't. You could be a clone and be a Mandalorian. Those aren't mutually exclusive. I would say I thought that her attitude towards him was unwarranted, and I would like some explanation.
I liked it. You were the one on this very show who pointed out that his voice would have been heard by people in the Empire.
Yes,
and she recognized his voice.
Yes, she did.
And from her perspective, the clone, for whatever reason, cannot be Mandalorian. And I like that.
I want to know what the reason is.
It doesn't matter. She's a clonist. I don't know. Listen, she's a clonist. What do you mean say? I mean,
I guess that's it.
like, I don't have to have all the answers. She didn't like him. Maybe you have to go back and watch the Clone Wars too. Maybe there's something there where Boba Fett or Jango Fett. No, Jango's dead for the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe there's some.
Her and Boba never come into contact, as far as I can tell, during the Clone War series. Maybe there's something afterwards. I don't know. But anyway, I just thought it was unwarranted. And then Costco Reeves attacking Boba Fett. I was just like, why? You guys are being counterproductive to your goal.
Hold on. In the Clone Wars, the Mandalorians came across the clone troopers.
They did.
Yeah, and then the clone troopers all turned to be bad guys. And then now here's a clone trooper in her mind wearing Mandalorian gear saying he's a Mandalorian. That's not a stretch at all.
Maybe.
Okay. If every 6 foot tall, if every person like me, like there's a million me's out there.
Okay.
And
but let's go with it.
Let's go with it. And we were all good guys one day. We're all good guys. And then one day we're all bad guys. And you don't know what happened. You just know that one day we're helping these dudes out, and the next day we're helping out the bad guys. And like 30 years go by, and one of me walks up. Are you going to be like, well, hold on.
Okay, but what if 10 years prior to that 30-year walk up, so 20 years after the bad time happens, you actually encounter a couple of these clones that aren't bad guys, and maybe your best friend Ahsoka Tano trusts them and brings them in on the rebellion, and maybe they do some really cool stuff that really helps out the rebellion against the Empire, and then they call it Rebels Season 2. Maybe. What if that happens?
Maybe, but I still think you'd be distrusting of them. Even to call, okay, you might trust them on some capacity, but to call themselves a Mandalorian, like putting on the armor is a big deal for these people.
It is a big deal, but being a Mandalorian, again, it's not mutually exclusive with that.
Okay.
There's not a moral stance to being a Mandalorian.
In her mind, there is. Okay. Just keep in mind this.
Yes, Miss X Death Watch is taking a moral stance.
We don't even know if she's a good character anymore. Okay.
It depends on what happens in the next episode with this Darksaber.
Okay. So in that shot, you have the sidekick, whatever you call her.
Costco Reeves. Yes.
Yes, Costco Reeves. She's kind of irrelevant for now. You have Bo-Katan, who wants to rule Mandalore.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you have the Mandalorian, who the show's named after. They can't even agree on if it's okay to take your stupid helmet off. And then you have a clone. Like the least surprising thing is that we can't agree on whether or not he's a real Mandalorian or not again. Like I thought it was really good because they didn't plan some of these debates that have been happening online. They had no way. Okay, they don't. You might think how the fans are reacting or not, but there's been 2 times this season when Grogu got his name. The very next episode, you have Mandalorian go Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
Grogu. That was well placed to make sure that the name kind of set in. You have this whole deal where people have been debating whether or not he's a real Mandalorian, and then now you have a Mandalorian debating he's a real Mandalorian. Like I appreciate that.
But Mando also said, "Oh, the armor's yours." Like he thinks he's a real Mandalorian. Boba Fett's side, he says that he never said he was a Mandalorian. He just said, "That's my armor."
That's exactly right. He
doesn't care what you call him.
I love it.
His armor.
I love everything about it. Why do you hate this? I don't understand.
I just felt that she was unnecessarily rude. That's all.
She was part of Death Watch.
Yeah, but now she's anti-Children of the Watch.
You told me one time that you could be, what's the word you can be? Petty.
Petty. Oh.
I think you're being petty here.
It's not that I can be petty. It's that I am petty.
See, there it is. Right there.
Yeah. Might as well call me Tom. Petty. No.
I know what you're saying. I don't have a problem. Like I I appreciated that moment. I really did, because just from the perspective of, Mandalorian was going to kill him to get the armor, and then he showed that he owned the armor because his dad got it, and his dad was a foundling or whatever. And the Mandalorian's like, cool. And then now she's like, you're not a Mandalorian. He's like, so what? It's my armor. And it's like, cool. Like that. Like he's not. He doesn't care.
I'm fine with. I think that's a great stance for him to take. I just don't understand her immediate animosity towards him.
But you realize that Boba agrees with her
that he's not a Mandalorian.
Yes, you do realize that Boba agrees with her.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. She doesn't have to be rude about it.
You're mad that she was right.
You can be rude, or you can be right and not be rude. That's my point.
Okay.
Like, that's the thing. I just think that it was some unnecessary animosity on the team that look at how Han and Leia didn't get along in episode 4, right? That was all fine. That was all fine. She wasn't just like not gonna talk to him or have somebody attack him because he was less than her. I'm just saying just some unnecessary animosity. I don't know what's going on with your computer sound.
I going back to the volume mixer.
Yeah, that must be a different app other than System.
It undid it.
Oh, it undid it. Oh, that's not
like good. Overruled it. There we go. I didn't have a problem with it. I love your pettiness though. It's funny.
Yeah, it's all good.
Was she ever grumpy in the Rebels?
Most of the time.
Okay.
She just didn't talk much.
So she's a grumpy character.
She is a grumpy character. That's part of why I don't like her. I don't like the grumpy characters. I like sad characters, not grumpy characters.
Okay, so here's you just don't
like Eeyore, not Rabbit.
You just don't like her character, period.
No, it's not that I don't like her character, period. It's just that those parts are annoying. Where she's just
she's a hothead.
Is that the word?
She's just a hothead.
Maybe. I was really excited to see her in the first episode that she was in The Mandalorian. I thought that was great. I thought that she was a great part of that episode where she came in and she really challenged his beliefs and she helped him out and she kind of expanded his universe and also expanded the universe of the story. And, I thought that was great. And then this one, I just didn't like her as much.
Okay, whatever. Agree, disagree. Boba,
she's not going to care about my opinion, so this is all just on me.
That's just so we're clear. Boba, Bo-Katan, all agree with me. You're by yourself. It's cool. I just want to get the record straight.
I'm not saying that he. Okay, first off, I would call him a Mandalorian, just like you would call Ahsoka a Jedi.
Whoa! Shots fired! Shots fired! That's aggressive. That's aggressive. Okay.
Was it unnecessary? Because if it was unnecessary and you didn't like it, that is my point about her conversation with Boba here. I was right, but was it necessary for me to phrase it that way?
Yes, it was, because I've been provoking you nonstop for the past 2 minutes. It was very necessary. I've been trying to get a rise out of you. I succeeded. So.
I'm just saying, I did think that it was necessary for her to be so.
I think her real issue, if we're going to go deep here, I think her real issue is that he painted it up and it looks toyish now. Like it's too toyish looking. Like she's like, bro, listen, you need some battle scars and that stuff. Like it looks kind of cheap.
I was thinking this time I was like, that doesn't even just look like paint. That looks like that rhino spray you put in truck beds or something.
It does.
It looks like some tough stuff on, latex coated armor.
Brought to you by Rhino Spray.
I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. My brother had that done 15 years ago in his truck.
I think it is.
Yeah. So they all join up eventually whenever they stop throwing flames at each other. They decide to get along long enough to go take on the bad guy that they all want to take on.
No, they don't.
And the doctor is very helpful.
No, they don't. I disagree, but go ahead. We'll come back to that point later, sir.
Okay. The doctor is very helpful. I think that, one, he's a bit of a coward.
Yes.
2, I think he cares more about the science than about the Empire, like a lot of nerds are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I had no problem with that.
yeah, so I think that's his deal.
He doesn't.
And I guess he was on Slave One the whole time that they were doing the boarding of Moff Gideon's light cruiser.
Yeah. I think so.
Those are details that they don't have to fill in. That I'm fine assuming. You know what assuming does, though? Makes you look bad if you're wrong.
Yep. Or they killed him and threw him out into space. I'm fine with that too.
I don't think so because Gardu's all, they're important to the
I'm just joking.
New Republic, and she's a what's it called? She's a ranger now.
Ranger, whatever. Yeah.
That's how you get your own show. And so they decide to go with a distraction method on. Okay, this is another thing I didn't like about Bo-Katan this episode. The way that they get onto the ship, right? She calls in that it's they're piloting the shuttle. There's a problem. They're being attacked. They need to land on the light cruiser. The light cruiser says no and starts launching TIE fighters. And she just aims down the middle of the launch tube, getting in all the TIE fighters' way, and just decides to crash land inside the ship anyways. I can understand that other than she did not play a convincing starship pilot in danger, or at least not a convincing Imperial pilot in danger. Also, apparently, I would get tipped off if I were on the light cruiser and I'm like, oh, who's supposed to be piloting this ship that just called to us for help? And I saw, it's supposed to be these two guys with the doctor and some lady is talking to us. That'd be my first tip.
Yeah, I did wonder about that. Do they know that ship's supposed to come back with the doctor and all that? But yeah, I did wonder about that.
Maybe they didn't cross-reference that information because they didn't seem too upset about it being, somebody that they didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so she crashes onto the ship, which is a pretty gutsy maneuver. Boba Fett takes off. And they land and they start shooting people. And one of the things I'm thinking of is like they're doing a lot of hand-to-hand combat and then shooting the person. Why not just shoot them first? Maybe it's my laziness, but I would just be like pew pew instead of punch pew.
Yeah,
I guess because it's a TV show and they want good action sequences.
Yeah, I'll just say this: everyone gives. There is a clip from The Last Jedi, and I don't want to get in The Last Jedi debate, but there's a clip from Last Jedi where Kylo and Ray are fighting in Snoke's throne room or whatever, and there's like a little clip of like the Knights of Ren or whoever the Imperial Guards, wherever they are, like having a chance to take one of them out, and they don't.
The Praetorian Guard,
yes. Yeah, and everyone's like, "See, this is how bad it is." Let me just tell you right now. This is why I don't like Batman movies, because in the real Batman movies, if you ever watch them, or Captain America movies, the guys who don't use guns, there's like 50 dudes, and there's plenty of shots with them with their guns pointing at the good guy, and they don't shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. We've got this point to where the action scenes, you have to get everyone so close that if you just watch the action scene, every action movie now, without fail, has that inevitable shot where the bad guys could clearly shoot and kill the good guy, and they don't. And so to your point, I've just gotten to where I can't. Okay, yeah. Okay. I mean, like to me, they've almost ruined the action shots of the scenes, because if you actually just watch them, there's plenty of times where the good person should die, and they just don't. And so that's again why I like animated sometimes better, because they fix those problems. Oddly enough, they seem to be able to fix those better. I don't know why.
So. I concur.
But anyways, so her gun getting jammed and all that. I was like, whatever.
Okay, so the gun getting jammed. Here's my thing. If I had a gun that got jammed, though I don't understand how the laser weapon gets jammed, and I know I've pointed out several times they're not actually laser guns, but still, it's an energy weapon, not a projectile weapon. I would not take it and hold it like a club and then hit people with it so that the barrel was now pointed at me or my patriots.
That's what I'm saying. Like I've gotten to where I don't even break that stuff down, because it's like
in case it could accidentally discharge, and now my my last shot was a fatal one towards myself.
The action scenes in movies are usually, I don't care if it's sci-fi, even in sci-fi films, the action scenes are usually the least realistic thing there is. So, I can believe a lot of things. The action scenes are the tough ones to swallow. So I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. They're beating him up. Yay, beat him up. Yay. And then whatever. So
I did think that it was cool that it was, the 4 women on the ship beating everybody up, and then Mando over there. Boba Fett has the easiest job on all these things. On Morak, he's just waiting to pick him up. Here, he's not having to board the light cruiser. Like,
there's something to that though that you missed.
He's a master strategist. Oh, I'm not sure that I missed it, because he also has Fennec kill everybody inside of Jabba's palace at the end for him. And then he walks in and it's like, hold on, dude. When you got introduced during the tragedy, we got to see you. You still got moves, but you're all for having everybody else do the work for you.
I think you missed it.
You think I missed it?
I think you missed it.
Okay. What did I miss?
Moff Gideon tells me though that he knows everything that's going on.
Yes.
There's 2 reasons he can know that. A, Palpatine has told him. Or B, Boba Fett has tipped him off.
Right. Well, I mean, we talked about it. We talked how awesome it would be if Boba Fett was a bad guy a couple episodes ago.
I think Boba Fett tipped him off.
Right. He may have.
No, I think he did. How does Moff Gideon know?
We're going to need that in canon, though, because I would think that Mando and or Bo-Katan would then have an issue with that. And then I could see her being, having some animosity.
But no, seriously, how else would Moff Gideon know? He knew the whole plan of attack. He knew everything. So either Palpatine is like appearing, telling him what's going to happen, or
I don't think Palpatine's appearing. But what does Moff Gideon say that he knows?
No. I'm not saying Palpatine. Palpatine could be talking to Moff Gideon. I'm not saying Palpatine's going to appear on the show.
Right? No. I'm just saying I don't think that he's appearing to Moff Gideon at this point in time. I don't think the Empire could have kept that a secret well enough that he was still out there, because everybody in the sequel trilogy was very surprised, including many of the audience.
Mainly the audience. Leia, because she knows everything. But anyways,
But what does Moff get? He says what he knows. He says a few things that he knows. So what does he say that he knows? Do you have that one? Or do you want?
He says that he knows that he knows he's traveling with Bo-Katan, and he knows he knows their plan of attack.
Does he say he knows their plan of attack?
Yeah, he goes, they're probably on the bridge right now, and you're down here with me.
Oh, okay.
Right?
But wouldn't that just be like the strategy? Also, couldn't he have just seen Bo-Katan on the screen? Also, she called in a distress signal. Couldn't he have recognized her voice if she is known to be after him?
So you think he's just making it up?
I think that he is, one, a good liar, because he's an actor, and that's what they do for a living. But no, I think Moff Gideon's a good actor.
By Moff Gideon, he will be performing Hamlet.
Yes. I think he could have just made some really good guesses based on sound strategy of what was happening when he said, okay, there's a woman out there trying to kill me.
You think he knows who she is?
Well, he got the Darksaber from somebody, and she was the last person we saw who had it.
Okay.
That's cool. I think they've come into, and if somebody was looking for me as hard as she is supposedly looking for him, he's probably heard about it, that, hey, this person's looking for you. And I'd be surprised if she didn't have a hit out on her head from the Empire, but no one's taken their contracts.
They haven't made Moff Gideon out to be the mastermind, though. I mean, you could be, so you could, there's no doubt that what you're saying is plausible. It's possible. And it's probably the stupid explanation we get. Let me believe that Boba, when he hopped out of there, it was because he had to hop out of there because the TIE fighters were going to get him. However, he doesn't come back at the end. He doesn't, nothing. He's gone.
He does at some point. We just don't see it. It's off screen.
No. I'm talking about when they're trapped at the bridge.
Oh,
yeah. He doesn't come into like, hey, I'm gonna come in and help you guys get out of the jam. Like he's.
Did they tell him? Did they let him know?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying he doesn't come back. I don't know why he doesn't come back. There is no Boba.
Fennec is texting him, come help us. Like,
well, but I think that's part of the thing. I don't think Fennec reaches out to him for a reason. She's in on it, obviously.
She's killing a lot of these people.
He goes back to take over Jabba's palace. He's a bad guy.
He is. That's actually the best part of it. I think he should be a bad guy.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. That's why I think he turned him. I think he turned over. That's
also part of why I think they're going to screw it up with the new series.
Okay. Anyways, we'll agree to disagree once again.
Wait, hold on. What are we disagreeing on?
That Boba tipped off Moff.
Oh yeah, I don't think Boba tipped off Moff, but maybe that it is possible.
It makes more sense.
I'd say it's as possible as Moff Gideon being a good guesser. All right, we'll leave that one.
Statistically speaking, you are correct. In my mind, you're wrong.
That's okay. That's okay. So they take the bridge, right? The Night Owls, Fennec, and
I gotta say hey to Piper. They're traveling, so I'm here to hey Piper, Scarlet, Drew, Ellicate, whoever's saying it, but probably Piper. So, and to my wife.
Also, yeah, because it says somebody, you don't know which one it is.
Yes, I don't. So, and I'll stop there. Go ahead.
Oh, that's all good. Yeah. So they take the bridge. Now, the only person that I didn't see on the bridge that I kind of expected to be on the bridge was a certain female comms officer.
She was on early on for sure.
She was on early on, but when they come and actually take the bridge, they kill some other people. She's not there. At least not that I saw.
Yeah. The shooting was so fast. I don't know. I didn't know she was there early on. I didn't catch the end. I had to go back and watch it. That's a good thing to go back and look for. Good
so point. I think that she squirreled away somewhere.
Got on a TIE fighter. And
TIE fighter, probably not an escape pod, but possibly an escape pod or a different shuttle, or is just hiding out on the ship, maybe somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would think that it would be like Moff Gideon told her, all right, go get my shuttle ready. Wait there for me.
Wait, who controls the ship now?
Bo-Katan. That was part of the deal. She gets the light cruiser to retake Mandalore.
So if you're stowed away on the ship, that's a bad place to be.
It would be a bad place to be.
Pretty sure.
But I think what I would do if I were her and Moff Gideon, I would be Moff Gideon saying, hey, go get my cruiser ready. Wait there for me. I'm going to go get the child.
Yeah.
And then because I'm the Imperial officer and have a fancy chest plate and probably some sort of heads-up display on my wrist, I can see like, oh, this guy's coming for the kid and he's gotten a lot closer than I expected by now. I just need to wait here for him. And okay, I kind of missed a spot. Wasn't that fight with the Dark Trooper awesome?
Yes.
Yeah, we agree on that. So the Dark Trooper fight was pretty awesome. I thought it was funny that how the trooper is just punching his head into the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And the head is just like it's not getting deformed at all. But I'm also wondering, what are these Dark Troopers made out of?
Iron Man suits. I thought.
Well, his blaster bolts are all bouncing off. And so I was just like, man, these Dark Troopers are tough. Some tough cats.
Yeah, I felt like the Darth Trooper thing set up for a tough spot for the end until the end happened. And then so I think it was more, we're going to set these dudes up to be like impossible to defeat.
Yes.
And therefore,
I think it was a great setup for the end also.
Yeah. Okay.
I have mixed feelings on the end, but it was a great setup for the end. I thought that was a really cool fight sequence. And then Mando goes to rescue Grogu, who is not at all excited to see him for some reason. Maybe he was sedated.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, okay?
Yeah.
So one of the things that Moff Gideon says, he says, I just want to study his blood. Okay, so he is a liar. We agree there.
Yes.
Moff Gideon's like, hey, get that under the microscope so I can take a look at it, guys. I've got nothing else to do here. Oh, the cells are moving. That's great. So obviously, he's a liar. So it comes with, I think, to be a Moff, they're like, can you lie well? You're like, no, not at all. Like, you got the job. So I think that's part of the shtick. But I do think he said that when he said he's done with him, I do think he was telling the truth there. Now, obviously, he could have used him more and more and more, but I do think he probably, on some level, had gotten the most use out of him that he needed.
But then why not just kill the child and wait on the inside of the door out of view so that when Mando walks in, you just cut his head off with the Darksaber?
Well, the TV show?
Sure. You want to start using facts.
I'm sorry.
If that's the kind of person you want to be.
Sorry. No. I think he would like to keep the child to continue to experiment on him. But yeah. I think what he was saying was, if you even take him, the primary focus that we needed, we've accomplished that. It's like saying, you got what you wanted, but you're going to take more. But you can't stop us now. I think
I hear you. We got everything we needed. If we lost him, it wouldn't be a huge loss. But if we could keep him, we'd like to.
That's right. So if that's true, a couple things. One, it's been a while since Moff Gideon took the child to now. Weeks, probably, if I had to guess. And that fits in with what we were talking about earlier in the episode about going to different planets, finding every one. So I think it's been a few weeks, maybe even a month. If that's true, maybe not. Maybe it's only been a few days. But we had to. Anyways, I'm gonna say a couple weeks. It's been a couple weeks, then Grogu's probably really just tired. He's probably been worked over pretty hard, by the Imperial surgeons or whatever,
What are the kind of doctors that deal with blood? I forget.
Blood doctors. Vampires.
In a recent Bob's Burgers episode. I forget what they're called, though.
Yeah, vampires. I don't know. That's
vampires. And what do you do for a living? I'm a vampire. Excuse me, come again?
So, anyways, I think Moff, when he said that, was on some of it was, huh?
Sorry, hematologist.
Yeah, I never got that. I could have guessed the ologist part. That's about it. So, I do think it's been a few weeks. The question is what do they do with the blood? We're not going to know that, which is interesting for probably a while.
Yeah, for at least a year. But
that might not even be season 3. That might be season 4.
It might be. That's what I said, at least. 4.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant just for the series of the release time.
No, I think it's... Sorry. Well, I did kind of, just because it's going to be at least a year before we get another Mandalorian episode. Right. But, yeah, it may not be in season 3. Unless they go talk to the doctor who was doing all the experiments, who's currently in their custody, who could answer all those questions for them. But they would have to do that interview on screen for us to find out. They're not going to do that.
Probably not. So, I think, anyways, we were talking about Moff Gideon.
Especially now that Din doesn't have Grogu, he doesn't really have a vested interest in finding out what they were doing to him. But, so Din and Moff Gideon fight. How'd you like the Moff Gideon and Mando fight? What'd you think?
I didn't understand. I need to go back and watch. Did Ahsoka's lightsaber light up the Beskar staff like the Darksaber did?
I did not remember it happening as much, but I do think that there was some reaction there.
Because it was pretty. It looked like I was thinking, is this thing gonna snap? Like what's going on here? I thought this was able to hold up, and so
the Darksaber is theoretically a strong, it's a super strong lightsaber.
Okay.
With the way that it is made.
Okay.
It acts a little different than traditional lightsabers.
I thought that fight scene was fine. I think the one-on-one, my comment about action scenes, I think the one-on-one scenes can be okay. It's when you have like 30 on 2, those scenes are just like, yeah, whatever. I thought that was fine. I enjoyed it.
So Mando gets Grogu, heads to the bridge, and then all the Dark Troopers come back.
Oh, when he ejected them, I said out loud, they can fly. Like if the ship is not moving at a rapid pace, they can catch up. Like that to me was either going to happen like it did, or if it didn't, I was curious to see how it played out. Like I fully expect them to come back because they can fly.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense. So they're in trouble, though, right? They start pounding on those blast doors, which I don't think they were really going to get through the blast doors. Like,
I wondered about that too. Like it would have taken a while.
yeah,
Like you wouldn't be holding your gun up anymore. You've taken a nap, maybe had a sandwich, a coffee, gone to the bathroom, jumped into hyperspace somewhere else.
is there another door out of the bridge that they
Yeah.
could go down to get away?
Yeah.
Just go someplace else.
Yeah. It was the opposite of episode 1.
Do you mean Star Wars episode 1, Mando episode 1, season 2 episode 1,
Rebels episode 1, Clone Wars episode 1? Yeah, no. Star Wars episode 1 with Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yes, it was.
It was the complete opposite. Like he's getting through that door.
Yeah.
These guys are like, eh.
At the same time, they now have a lightsaber that can cut through these dark troopers. So they have a little bit better of a chance.
And let me tell you something. You got Grogu. I was hoping they would get through because I wanted to see Grogu like just go off.
Yeah. Yeah. Just force push, knock them all down, start electrocuting them, something.
Yes. I wanted to see the Palpatine. Oops, sorry. Palpatine just, that's what I want to see.
Yeah. No, I didn't think he was going to do any force lightning, but I thought Grogu would. I thought that Mando was going to be fighting somebody. I was surprised it didn't happen in the Moff Gideon fight. I thought Mando was going to be fighting somebody, such as Moff Gideon, that the opponent would get the upper hand, and that Mando would be saved by Grogu. And then that didn't happen.
I did too. I had no doubt that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm glad in hindsight they didn't give it to us.
Yeah, no, I'm fine that they didn't do it. That's just what I thought was going to happen.
No, I agree. But sometimes you're like, oh, it needed to play out this way. No, I'm glad it didn't play out that way. Yeah. It was good to see Mando take care of the old man. And so hold on, before we get to Dark Troopers, when they've got Moff Gideon there, and Moff Gideon's like, hey, it's too bad you can rule Mandalore, and he's like offers this dark saber to Bo-Katan, and she's like, I can't take it unless it's in combat. Or Moff Gideon says that. Why didn't he be like, just punch me one time in the helmet, I'll fall down, drop the saber, and then you just pick it up?
Well, so my thought would be that he's got a reputation, right? That'd be part of it. As to why he didn't do that. Because I did have that thought also. I was like, well, that's the only excuse he has, is he doesn't want to have lost a fight, right? Though if you're going to lose a fight, the leader of entire planet and religion would be a good person to lose a fight to. Like if I was going to lose any fight, I would rather lose to Mike Tyson than to my next door neighbor.
Yes.
Just because like that's a better story when I tell people I lost, because I would lose both those fights. And my neighbor's a 14-year-old boy, but still, I would lose both those fights.
Well, and the other thing is the fact that you fought Tyson. It's like, dang, Kyle's fighting Tyson now? I didn't know. My bad, Kyle. Step back. Show some respect. I didn't know.
So yeah, I think that'd be his only excuse, but it's kind of a lame excuse. The other thing is
taking it under those terms, anyways. But that would have made more sense to me. He's like, oh, okay, well then punch me, I'll fall over. You can take it, whatever. Well,
she would have had to have said no to that also.
No, I know. I'm saying I think it made more sense for her to say no to that than just than what she said no to.
So what I don't understand, because he did say I yield, right? He basically was like, you don't even have to punch me, just I give up.
Right.
Okay. Something had to have happened where she lost respect. Because last time she got the Darksaber, what happened? Sabine just handed it to her. And she had a nice fancy speech. Oh, the reason the Darksaber came to me is so that I could give it to you. What? But that's what Sabine says. And then hands her the Darksaber. And Bo-Katan is like, okay. And then House Wren, House Kryze, all the other, well, not all the other houses, but like 6 other houses of Mandalorians all pledged their allegiance to Bo-Katan at that point. This is in Rebels. The I think second episode of the last season of Rebels. They did a little Mandalorian arc there because Sabine Wren is a Mandalorian, which Bo-Katan doesn't have any problem with Sabine being a Mandalorian, even though she was literally working for the Empire and made weapons for them and went through the Imperial Training Academy.
Kyle's back on the Boba trope.
I'm just saying, Bo-Katan has a double standard here, and it's just unnecessary rudeness.
She's a clonist. I've already told you that once.
She's a clonist. And Sabine actually renounced and left. She left Mandalore. She's like, no, I'm leaving. I'm gone. But she's fine with the armor, and Boba Fett's not.
Okay. He's a clonist. Just embrace it. Okay. She's a clonist.
Okay.
Just let it go.
All right.
It's not you, it's her. She's the clonist, not you.
So she was happy to take the Darksaber at that point when it was a gift. Something had to have changed, and I'm hoping that they explain it. They've done a decent job so far in this series of explaining things that we have questions about a few episodes after we have questions about them.
Yeah, I agree.
And because of the way it's filmed, they had to have anticipated those questions. It's not like, some network television show that people ask questions when they watch it premiere, and they've only filmed one other episode before, when people ask those questions so they can make some last minute fixes.
That's what I'm talking about the Grogu deal and the Boba with the Mandalorian.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just agreeing with you.
No, I'm saying like that to me. That's what's so impressive is that this was months ago that they've done this.
They've done a decent job with that. So I'm looking forward to the explanation on what happened as to why she can't simply take it. Now, if they say, well, because it has to be one, and that's the only explanation we get, I'm going to be annoyed because it didn't have to be one last time. What changed? That's what I want to know. I want to know what changed. I get that it has to be one in combat. I want to know why and why it didn't have to last time. And if they say something along the lines of, well, it should have been last time, so she did the wrong thing last time, I'm also going to be annoyed because all the Mandalorian houses that were present were 100% on board with it. Like they saw Sabine hand it to Bo-Katan and they were fine with it. So it obviously didn't have to be one at that point. Nobody said anything about that. Now, when Sabine got it, yes, if you defeat the person that has it, you get it. That's established. But that works the way with everything. That's just normal pillaging and conquest. But just, if you beat the person with the Darksaber, you get the Darksaber. Just like if you beat the person with a blaster rifle, you get their blaster rifle. There was no rule in Rebels saying that it couldn't be passed on to somebody else. Okay. All right. Thanks for letting me get that out of my system.
Yeah.
Sorry for boring anybody there.
You felt like you needed something off your chest, and I hope that was it.
Yeah.
Because we haven't talked about Luke friggin' Skywalker yet.
I know. Okay, so Luke Skywalker. I was really excited and also really upset at the same time. It was some mixed emotions. I even texted you as soon as I saw the X-Wing and was like...
Luke friggin' Skywalker.
Yeah. So
I said it.
Luke friggin' Skywalker.
I knew.
For the record, FRIGGIN apostrophe.
Yeah. I'm saying friggin'.
I want to make it clear so that this is not any adult language.
Friggin'.
Yeah.
Friggin'. No, when the X-Wing come up, I'll be honest with you. I did not think they were bringing Luke in because I thought bringing Luke in means you kill Grogu.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't think they were going to bring him in either.
Okay, I think they fixed that, and I'll explain why in a second. But I ain't gonna lie. When I saw that X-Wing come up, I was like, let's go. Let's go, baby. Luke's about to come up in here. My kids were like, what's going on? I'm like, it's happening. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's an X-Wing. They're like, what do you mean? Who flies an X-Wing? They're like, X-Wing pilots. I'm like, no.
Well, they're not wrong.
Damn, Kyle. I was like, episode 8 in the water. They're like, Luke Skywalker. I'm like, let's go. you know?
So we got to see him in the robe, and then we got to see the lightsaber, and then we got to see that one hand had a glove and one hand didn't.
Yeah.
Right. So they did a really good reveal on it. And it was exactly what I wanted. It was the light side version of what we saw of Darth Vader in Rogue One.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so it was awesome. It was beautiful. It was a great fight sequence. A
great music, just the whole thing.
Yes, everything. And then that little force crunch at the end.
And he murked folks the way it had to be.
Yes, he had to come in and just slay everybody.
Yeah,
and stormtroopers would not be enough unless there was like 1,000 of them.
I agree. So Gobo said earlier, they set up the fight. These guys were going to kill our heroes. They had no hope. I mean, maybe they could fend a few with the lightsaber, the dark saber. And then Luke comes in, and it's like warm knife, meat butter, boom. That's exactly what it has to be, which is why he couldn't be so powerful in the sequel trilogy. But whatever. But this is why it had played out.
Whoa. That's why he couldn't be so powerful in the sequel trilogy?
Yeah.
Why not?
That's what he would have done. He could just come out and just killed everyone. Like that's what happened. Like what you saw on that episode would have been the sequel trilogy. Like, oh my God.
That would have been a great sequel trilogy.
He would have just killed everybody. Like
it would have been fantastic.
Like scene 1, episode 1, Luke Skywalker, Snoke, boom. Movie 2, scene 1, episode 1, Kylo Ren, boom.
I wanted Luke. Okay, so we'll diverge from Mando for a second to talk about the sequel trilogy. I had wanted Luke to kind of be the bad guy in the sequel trilogy for at least the second part of it, and then be redeemed himself, because they stole a lot of stuff, primarily the whole Palpatine clone thing, from Crimson Empire. There's a part in Crimson Empire where Luke uses the Force to crash a Star Destroyer from orbit into the city.
That's what I'm saying. He couldn't be. This is who
freaks Lando out. Like Lando is legitimately scared of Luke when he sees that happen.
This is
like, it would have been great. It would have been great. It would have been great.
Who would have fought him? Who? No one.
Well, that's the thing. He would have been the Mad Titan of the New Republic, and people would have been afraid of him, and we would have gotten a very human, emotional story about how he has realized he's become too powerful and that he's turned into something that he hates, and all that would have been a great turn for him. That's
okay. People lost their mind because he pulled his lightsaber out for half a second on Kylo Ren. They couldn't have dealt with what you're talking about. So, I mean, I don't want to. We'll debate.
You're right. People subscribe to this podcast feed and to this YouTube channel for Mandalorian talk, not sequel talk.
Well,
I apologize to everybody.
No, how dare you talk Star Wars, sir? How dare you?
Sorry.
Don't do that again.
So much. Don't
do that. We need to flesh out the sequel trilogy one day. We really do, like a 6-hour marathon episode. But back to this. It was exactly what it needed to be. Yes. Luke, Merkin folks, no questions asked. And the one time there was any doubt was when Grogu was brought into the picture, right?
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't really Luke's doubt. It was whether or not Grogu wanted to go with Luke.
Right.
And that's why I think they set up Grogu's coming back. Because Luke says, he needs your permission.
Uh-huh.
He gives the permission. I think he's coming back. If he doesn't come back, Kylo Ren killed him, and I cannot.
Exactly. Yes, and that's something that's upsetting to me. You're telling me that in 15 years from this point, Kylo Ren murders Baby Yoda, murders the child, murders Grogu, along with everybody else. I mean, that's one thing that I think was very overlooked in the prequel trilogy. Is how many children Anakin murdered.
Mm-hmm.
First in episode 2, and then in episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
But people have now had time to realize that and expand on it, and they're like, "Oh no, he was a bad dude." Kylo Ren did the same thing. He murdered a lot of not just people, children, and they were his friends. Supposedly, they were the other trainees at the Jedi Temple
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just like Anakin did.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that he wanted to be like his grandfather, but like
It's a step too far.
people need to like I don't feel like enough people are thinking like, oh yeah, no, Kylo Ren was a bad guy. Like we all are happy, quote unquote, everybody is happy that Anakin got redeemed, that Kylo Ren got redeemed. How many people want Charles Manson to get redeemed?
Exactly. No.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
So, yeah, there's that.
And just to be clear, Anakin and Kylo killed far more people than Charles Manson did.
Yes.
Now, orders of magnitude more.
Yes.
And Bundy looks at those numbers and goes, "Whoa!" Like that's like Bundy's like that's aggressive, dude. You should chill out, okay?
And potentially an infinitely larger number of Grogus.
100% more Grogu's.
Yes. So if and also you got to think while Grogu is 50, and at the time that Kylo Ren downs the temple, he would have been in his 60s. He's still at a toddler.
No, it's more than that, right? When is this show? This is how many years after Empire Falls?
9 ABY.
I mean, how many?
I think it's 3 years after the Battle of Endor.
Oh well, then guy, you got like 40 more years, 30 more years, 20 more years.
I think it's closer to 20.
So I'm saying 20. Okay, 20.
So we'll put him at 70. We'll say Grogu's 70.
Okay,
late 70s, early mid 70s,
okay.
Somewhere in that window.
Okay.
And yeah, he'd still be a very small child mindset too. I don't know. That's one of the things that's upsetting to me.
I think he's coming back.
Okay, how's he gonna come back? That's the other thing. Mando's like, I'll see you again. You didn't ask Luke's name. You just said, "Are you a Jedi?" And he's like, "Yes." And you're like, "Well, he does have a lightsaber. He must be a Jedi."
Wait,
Moff Gideon had a lightsaber. He's not a Jedi.
Okay, first off, he should have said, "Like my father before me." Like that would have been hilarious because like, everyone's like, "Wait." Mando's like, I heard that just the other day, like my father before me. Who told me that? Wait, hold on, Boba. It looks like Boba, you know.
Coming back, and then his lightsaber just turns back on.
Yes, that would have been hilarious. I think so. A couple things. One, the Ahsoka series is set in the same timeline as Mandalorian.
Yes.
So
is Rangers of the New Republic.
Well, right, but I think
they'll be having a crossover event.
Yeah, right. So Ahsoka is going to meet Luke Skywalker. That's done. Put that in the books. I'm calling it right now. What's today? Today's.
I buy that. I believe that she is too.
Okay, and when she meets Luke Skywalker, she will be able to tell Luke about Grogu. More than
she got
that he was at the temple, he trained under whoever.
Right, but she learned that from Grogu. So couldn't Grogu just tell Luke?
Sure, but she can add the flavor of what the temple was like. She was there. I mean, she was a living witness of what happened at Order 66. Yeah, and I don't think Grogu wants to be trained.
Oh. Yeah, maybe.
It's an Anakin story.
Maybe not.
He's going to want to come back to his dad.
Well, I don't think that was quite Anakin's story.
Well, Anakin didn't want to leave his mom.
Yes, that's all I was hitting at. Anakin's virgin birth. There.
Yeah. But you know, so I think he comes back. I think he comes back to Mandalorian next season, the year after. They bring him back. First off, the show is based on Mandalorian and Grogu. And to have the character depart and not come back, I think is a big
risk because they introduced him at the end of episode 1. Yeah. Like we didn't get to know Mando very much before Grogu entered the picture.
Listen, if it wouldn't have been Grogu, I probably have turned it off at the end of episode 1.
I thought it was going to be a Hutt in episode 1. But for more thoughts on that, please listen to our past/future episode about the Mandalorian season 1, episode 1, coming at a later time about something that happened before this.
That's next week, right?
I have thoughts.
Oh, before we do that. Okay. It's coming soon to a podcast affiliate near you.
Subscribe to Outpost 23.
Okay, if it was a Hutt, but to your point, if it was a Hutt or an Ewok or a little Wookiee, it just wouldn't have worked. You'd be like, huh, it's freaking Baby Yoda friggin' that FR, yeah, friggin' Baby Yoda, and you're like,
flag us, you know.
yeah, you're like, oh my gracious, where are we going here? I think, and that's been the hook. He has been the hook because going and taking Mayfield, talk about the Empire. That's not the hook. I mean, I enjoyed the episode. It's out of place, but whatever. It's not the hook, and so,
yeah,
he's got to come back. I don't think Bo-Katan and Mando going to take the dark saber back is going to do anything for anyone. I just don't.
It might do something for someone. I think it'd be interesting.
You're so petty. You're so petty.
Well, because okay, what does Star Wars like to do after they do something really good? What do they like to do? They like to start talking about politics. That's what they do. They're like, hey, let's do episodes 4, 5, and 6. We'll do an awesome story. Okay, now let's go tell people about the origin of their characters. But let's make it about a trade deal and like an embargo on a planet. And let's make everybody talk inside of Senate chambers.
Yeah.
And, so I think they might be bringing some politics in to the Mandalorian next season.
That doesn't, okay.
And I think some people will enjoy that. I want to see what Mandalore looks like. That's one thing that I want to see. I want to see who's living there, how they're going to bring Mandalorians back, and I want to see how Din gets rid of the Darksaber because he does not want that, and we don't want him to keep it.
Okay, couple things here. One, Din has no desire whatsoever to rule Mandalore. So bringing politics into the show would be a train wreck because our character has no desire for politics.
I agree. It would be, but I'm just saying they might go there.
Okay, Filoni, Kathleen Kennedy, Grogu, call me. We'll talk. We'll get this worked out. Like, listen, episode 1, season 3, Mando's out talking about the Darksaber with Bo-Katan, and Luke flies up in the X-wing, and he like the R2-D2 shuttle portion, they dropped R2-D2 out. Like little Grogu comes out, he chucks the deuces. Luke flies off. He's like, Jedi guy, I see you. He's back. He can talk now. He's like, yeah, listen, Jedi life ain't for me. I wanted to procreate, so I'm out. Luke told me that. I was like, no, 900 years is too long. I'm back. Yeah, we can spin it. We're just spitballing here. If you bring the Mandalorian, the character Din Djarin, into political discourse for 15 episodes, you will lose the audience.
I think so too. So I don't think that they would carry it on that long. I think that they may introduce some. I don't think they're going to be able to do a big time jump in between this episode and the season premiere of the next season, because we need to see how Din gets rid of the Darksaber. Now, if I were him, I would just be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to leave it here on the dash of your new light cruiser, and I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Except he has apparently promised to go with her to Mandalore, which I did not understand from their exchange either. Because she was like, I would like to have you reconsider. When I agree to reconsider something, that doesn't mean that I agree to do that thing. It means I agree to think about it again.
Yeah, well, why, so why did he, hold on, I'm confused. He said he would go on the show? He said he would go on the show?
So, well, I think that's the understanding that they have. I think it's one, Bo-Katan assuming the sale, but two, I think that he's going to do what Boba Fett did to him. When Boba Fett said, if you give me my armor back, I'll help you with the child. And then he went on to Mando's ship and stole his armor back and then helped him with the child, which may or may not have been for nefarious purposes. I think that Mando's going to say, well, you helped me rescue the child. I'm going to help you, become leader of Mandalore now. And he's going to go with that. He might just need something to take his mind off of Grogu for a bit. But I think we're going to Mandalore next season. I'm not sure how long we're going to stay there. I think we're going to stay there for a whole season. I think we're going to stay there for 10 episodes. And I think that by the end, I'd say by the second episode, Din loses the Darksaber, one way or another. Now, what would be great? Follow me on this, okay? Let's say they take the light cruiser to Mandalore, Din walks out, and someone else gets it from him instead of Bo-Katan. Right? Like, she wouldn't just take it from him. So somebody else challenges him to a fight, and then they beat him. And now someone else is the leader of Mandalore. I think that'd be pretty fun. Because now he has to help Bo-Katan beat this person that already beat him.
I don't know. I think going to do the Mandalore thing, I think it's risky. He's shown no interest in stuff like that. To make him all of a sudden concerned about that.
I don't think he's concerned about Mandalore. I think he's concerned about keeping his word to Bo-Katan. And apparently, if somebody tells you that you're going to do something, it's the same as making a promise to them in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I think we're in for a long season if that's what they're going to do. I mean, you could be right. Maybe I could be wrong. It could be the best Star Wars ever made, but it seems like it's a long season if that's where we're going.
I don't know. That Luke Skywalker scene in this last episode was some pretty good Star Wars ever made. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm saying it was pretty good. I still have mixed feelings about just the fact that Luke was the one who showed up. That's what I have mixed feelings about.
So I didn't think they're going to do it because I didn't think they could. Kylo going to kill Grogu, but the way that he left makes me believe that Grogu's going to come back. Now, if Grogu doesn't come back, I'm going to be like, well, why are you having Kylo kill Grogu? That's stupid. I can't imagine they're going to do that. So
but maybe that's why rumor is this might be a 4-season series.
Yeah, but to your point, bringing Luke in makes the most sense from a canon standpoint. You don't bring Mace back. Thank goodness you mess it up. You don't bring some random Jedi that we don't know who it is. Like, oh, how'd you survive? You don't have to explain anything. Luke's out there. He's around. Bring him in. The guy was a close enough pass. It doesn't even matter. Like, to me.
But also, how did he find him?
I don't know. That's
because he wasn't on Tython anymore.
Yeah.
Did you go pick up his scent at Tython?
Yeah, I don't.
Did you feel him through the Force, and now he's locked on to his Force signature? But doesn't that mean that anybody who heard that signal could do that same thing? There's bad Force people out there.
Okay, so I heard someone say that the negative Force users, the dark side Force users couldn't tap into that, but I don't know.
I don't know anything that would preclude them from being able to do that.
Well, who's out there right now?
I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying I don't know of anything.
Okay, but who's out there? Palpatine? Who else?
Well, there's people we don't know about. That's the thing. There's people we don't know about because we've seen so small a part.
I know, but there's no Sith out there, right?
I'm sorry?
There's no Sith.
No, not necessarily any Sith. There are the Night Sisters, though. Well, I say that they were pretty much wiped out by Vader. I don't know. Are the Inquisitors still around? Do they need them good to hang around?
Yeah, but yeah, it's a small pool.
Yeah.
And Luke Skywalker has just defeated Darth Vader too. That's still fresh.
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Well, no, I'm saying that's important because he has grown stronger since that fight. He didn't walk onto Death Star 2 and be like, "Oh, hey, Palpatine, snap."
No, I know, but he killed the Emperor.
Yeah.
It's like if you're a dark user, you're like, yeah, the bat signal's gone up. Luke freaking Skywalker might show up. I'll pass.
Well, yeah, that's true. He might pass, but I'm just saying it does set us up for some potential conflict because if somebody else is able to track Grogu, and now Luke has him, they could track Grogu to Luke.
Yeah, slaughtered.
Depending on if it's somebody who even cared about the Emperor or not. You don't know. I mean, the whole storyline with Mara Jade in the expanded universe, she wanted to kill Luke because he killed the Emperor.
Yeah.
And so she was specifically after him for that. That didn't scare her. That pissed her off.
And Luke will be slaying fools in if that happens.
What? Luke will be what?
Slaying fools.
Oh, yes. Well, it'd be interesting.
Oh, yeah, I agree. So one more thing.
One last thing on the Luke thing.
Okay.
As much as I love Mark Hamill, I think they should have recast him instead of doing the CGI de-aging.
That they didn't recast him?
They had a stand-in actor, but then they CGI'd Mark Hamill's face, a younger version of Mark Hamill's face, on
Oh,
top of him.
oh,
Mark Hamill did the voice. And
okay.
like I said, as much as I love Mark Hamill, and I would have loved Mark Hamill to play Luke Skywalker in the original 7, 8, 9, and other things, or him as his current age, I don't like the idea of making the old person young or appear young. I am not looking forward to the next Indiana Jones movie from an action standpoint.
Yeah, I see it now. Luke Skywalker. I thought that was a different guy. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, no. They brought in another actor and then did CGI de-aging, just like they did for Tarkin and
Yeah.
Leia in Rogue One.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
just like
I
they
agree
did
with
for
that.
Leia.
I just wasn't. I thought it was a different actor. I wasn't paying that close attention.
So I just think that they should recast him, because I would love to see a new Jedi Temple series. I think that'd be a really cool series.
I don't know what you're gonna do, but maybe.
Luke doesn't even have to be in it all the time because he's like the leader. It can be about other people. It's kind of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but for Star Wars.
So let me say this. This is my final thoughts on the episode. We'll talk about the Boba Fett thing maybe, but my final thoughts on the episode.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about that.
The helmet reveal was like the worst thing ever. They've ruined it.
Oh, when Mando took his helmet off?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was only meaningful to the people on the bridge, not to us as viewers, because we already saw him compromise those morals.
That's what I'm saying. Like that was, but yeah, in the moment, like Grogu wants to take his helmet off. It's like, well, of course he's going to take it off. Like he's already taken it off. Like this is why the Mayfield stuff was so stupid. Like that we talked about the last week. Like that's so stupid. Like you've. I could maybe live with the droid thing, but now he literally just took it off last week to save Grogu. You don't think he's going to take it off like it would without last week, and maybe without the last season. I think you have a powerful moment there, but I just like whatever.
Without last week, it would have been a lot more powerful.
Yeah, I don't know why they ruined that. That makes no sense.
I mean, that was the worst part of last week's episode.
Yeah, I agree. And you completely wasted it when you had this opportunity. Like why? Like again, Disney call. Like it's not hard. Like these are not the hard things. There's a lot of stuff I can't figure out. But when you're going to have a big face reveal, you do it at the most impactful moment, not on some stupid mission to find the ship that you could have done 1,000 other plot lines for. So I thought that I was like, okay, well here we are, and wow, you really wasted it on Mayfield. Thanks. So, anyways, I don't know what you thought. I thought that was kind of like, again, terrible planning by Disney.
Well, I could tell, like, oh, they're playing the music. This is supposed to be emotional. Like that's the feeling I have with some things. Part of that is because I might be a robot, but there's a lot of times like I'm told, like, oh, this is the music that's telling me to feel a certain way, and I don't feel that way.
Listen, when the little Grogu hand goes up and touches, listen, it touches you right here.
It does. But like the face reveal, it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. I just took my own headphones off there.
Yeah. I mean, it touches you right here, but you want to go Grogu. He took it off last week, bro. You just weren't there. We already saw this. He takes his helmet off for anyone now. It's no big deal. And if he takes his helmet off next season a bunch, then it really won't mean anything.
Well, and I think that's what they were setting it up for. I think that he has now broken that code 100%, and that he's going to be wearing his helmet less next season.
Whatever.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Book of Boba.
Is it a book or is it a show?
It's a show called The Book of Boba, and where it's all about Boba the Hutt. So, just joking. He's not actually a Hutt. But all right. So Bib Fortuna, who has put on a couple 100 pounds, appears to be running the show inside of Jabba's old palace. Boba comes in. Actually, no. Fennec comes in, kills everybody except for one Twi'lek dancer who she frees. And then Boba comes in, kills Bib Fortuna, and then sits down inside the throne and is now set up to be the new crime lord of the Outer Rim. Do we agree that that's the message being told here?
100%.
Okay. So it's called Book of Boba. It is not replacing The Mandalorian. It is a new series that they did not announce on Investor Day, but they have confirmed it is an additional series. I believe it will be a one-season series. I may be mistaken about that, but I believe it is slated for just one season. Here's my thing. Okay, he didn't have his armor, which I still don't understand why he couldn't get his armor from Cobb Vanth when he was on Tatooine for all those years. 3 years.
Yeah.
You're saying he couldn't have wiped out all those people inside of Jabba's palace or Bib's palace, whatever they want to call it now, before now? He didn't use the armor. He barely used his weapon.
Yeah.
I guess he didn't have Fennec before, but he, like I said, we saw in the episode in the treasury, he's got the moves. He should have been able to walk in there and take him out with his gaffy stick that he took off a Tusken Raider. I don't know. I just Boba seems lazy. I guess that's what it is. He seems kind of lazy right now. Yeah. And also, it's really hard to make a bad guy the main character in a series because we have to like the main character, right? And when you take someone who is a good person and make them bad, that's a very different story than when you have someone who starts out bad and you're trying to keep them bad. Because like in Breaking Bad, right? We saw someone who was good become progressively worse.
Well, I mean,
In Solo, we got to know the scoundrel before the young man, and so he became a scoundrel with a heart of gold. And I think they're going to do the same thing with Boba.
well, I don't know. I mean, think like Tony Soprano, or the mob movies. Those guys are bad, and but they're in a world of other bad, and so you like their bad.
Yeah. So I guess The Sopranos is a good example because in other movies, and like all the mobster movies, it's just a movie. It doesn't have to be very in depth because it's just 2 hours, right? That you have to tell the story, and usually telling a story of an event. This is going to be a story of multiple events that go together. So The Sopranos, I think, might be a good storyline there. I didn't see Sopranos personally.
Or The Wire. I mean, The Wire is another thing where you have bad guys, good guys. It's really hard. The lines are blurred. The cops are not always great. Obviously, there's all kinds of drug dealers, murderers. So I know what you're saying. In conventional, it's not easy. But if you're going to have a bad guy be the main lead, he has to be in a bad world.
Yes, he will be. He will be in a bad world.
Yeah,
I'm really interested to see how, because Jabba's palace, now Bib's palace, was not as full as it was in Return of the Jedi. I'm interested to see how much the I don't know, power has shifted away from this place. I'm interested to see what Boba like. Is it that Jabba's palace, or Jabba was the pinnacle of these gangsters, but now that he's gone, Bib Fortuna became a 5 on the scale, and Boba comes in thinking he's taking the 10 spot, and he's actually taking a 5 spot. I don't know.
I don't understand what Bubba's going to do because it would have made more sense for him to get pimped out by Bib Fortuna, going to do missions. That would be kind of cool. Now he's the one that's going to be sending folks out. Like, I don't get, like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Jabba wasn't going out a lot,
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that he's kind of being lazy. I think he wants to be the boss. I think he's kind of over this lifestyle.
But what's the show going to be about, though? That's what I'm saying. Like if the show is Jabba's palace, it'd be a lot about other people than Jabba.
Yes. So I don't know. We'll see. I think that's also part of why it's only one season. I also want to see, are the monks still there? Because that's the thing. That palace was actually a monastery for Balmar monks, and Jabba took over, and because they're a peaceful monk group, monastic order, that's what it is, because they're a peaceful monastic order, they never fought, and they just kept moving to other parts of the palace where he and his people weren't. until eventually he squeezed them down to a very small central underground portion that just wasn't in use, or that he didn't have a use for. But eventually, he probably would have pushed them all the way out of their monastery. I don't know. Are they still there?
Yeah,
I'm curious.
yeah. I don't know. I keep it clean, keep it tight. Don't try to expand too far. I do like the miniseries because you can really pack one thing in there and be done with it, and you don't get too far wild. Like the Mandalorian, like maybe if we again 2 seasons from now, I might go, wow, they really thread the needle. But I think there's a balance between having a good idea and then making that good idea 15 seasons long.
Yes.
And so so I like that Disney on some level is saying that some of these shows will be miniseries because it's gonna be short, sweet. They may screw them up. That's fine. You can't be bat 1,000, but the ability to screw it up is less when you commit to something being short.
Yes, I would agree.
If there's one thing about Star Wars fans, we'll watch the same stuff over again.
We'll
watch it over again.
And we will even watch things. We will buy special edition DVDs of things and Blu-ray discs and box sets of things that we despise.
We'll buy it when you add Han shooting first, Han shooting second, Han shooting same size. Same time. We'll buy it all. So the miniseries.
Oh, did you catch the McClunky reference? Okay, so right, it's in the Bib Fortuna says McClunky basically, but it's 2 words. I don't know. It's just a fun thing because Greedo supposedly says McClunky.
Oh.
When he's having that exchange with Han, so it's just a fun little thing.
Okay. Well, Kyle, when will we be back on this podcast? Because you mentioned a teaser thought earlier. So when will there is no show next week? No Mandalorian show. When will we be back?
There is no Mandalorian show next week. If you're up for it, I would like to be back next week.
Discuss what?
So they are releasing a season 2 behind the scenes Mandalorian episode.
Okay.
On Christmas Day. So I was thinking we could talk about that, or we can save that and go do season 1, episode 1, and run through all the stuff we missed. Okay. What do you think? How do you feel?
I think we will decide between now and next week. That's a great idea. Okay. We'll watch them both, and then if the behind the scene deal's terrible, then we'll do season 1. If the behind the scene deal's great, we'll do that.
Yeah, there's that, because I also want to do. Well, I'll talk to you about that off the air. Okay. Anyways, should we do the outro?
It's your show, man.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I'm Kyle Souza. My blog is talkinggeek.com. You can subscribe to this podcast feed. Please subscribe to this podcast feed if you're listening to it. Or if you want visuals to go with it, subscribe to Outpost 23 on YouTube. Check out outpost23.net. You can find all the social media platforms on those websites. Outpost 23 is Ryan Ray. Ryan does some awesome video content.
Awesome
Stuff throughout the week. Is it every day yet, or just almost every day?
After the holidays, it will pick up. I had some travel this week, so I'm gonna try to put out some stuff. I'll try to do. We'll get Christmas, so I'll try to do 3 or 4 days this week. I got some stuff that I wanted to get to, but I didn't get to last week. So we'll try to pick it up as the holidays go on.
His stuff is much more timely because he can do stuff like watch the episode and then immediately make a video.
Not this week.
I'm sorry?
I couldn't this week. I was traveling.
That's okay. That's okay. You don't have to tell him what you didn't do. We'll just tell him what you're capable of.
As someone one time said, I've done more on a maybe.
All right. I think that's all I got.
Kyle, it was lovely once again.
I'm glad. I enjoyed disagreeing with you for the last hour and 45 minutes.
The highlight of my week is getting to disagree with you. Like when I watch it, I know I like it. I know you're going to hate it. And that's what I like.
But we agree. We loved the fight scenes with the Dark Troopers. Both fight scenes with Dark Troopers are great. We agreed on some stuff.
You just can't get past the fact that Bo-Katan's a clonist.
I can't. I don't get it. I don't understand ists and isms and the people that ascribe to them.
Well, you're a denialist. Oh.
I've become what I hate. Only Siths deal in absolutes. Oh no, that's an absolute.
Oh, all right. Well, I think we will end on your denialism.
May the Force be with you.